Well, hello, my friend. My name is Joe Bakmotsky. I am the founder of Power to Be Happy and also the author of this book, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. So how do you unleash your creativity? How do you make it work for you? Because it's such a beautiful feeling when you can make things come to life, when you can find your way around obstacles, when you get that sense of just achievement, of something that you know you've done something, you figured things out, right? So I want to ask you this question before we really get into how do you actually do, unleash your creativity. I want to ask you for what is your definition of what being creative means to you. Like, how would you define it? Because before, we can talk about what are we going to do or how we might look at it and what might be helpful. It's important to understand, this is what I do with all my coaching clients, is to really understand what does it mean to you in your life today. Not some pretty definition. It doesn't have to be something big, something epic, but like, what does being creative mean to you? Like, what do you find yourself doing? How do you feel? Right? Because that's really important. Because, half the battle oftentimes is reconnecting with that sense of who you are at your most expressive self. When you can really let go of things that have built up inside you, when you can be in the moment, when you can kind of make things flow. Right? That's such a huge deal. So I hope you have a sense of what creativity really means to you in this moment of your life. Because that can change. What was creative for me, in let's say in my early 20s, isn't what I see today. When I was younger, and I was in a band, and I had lots of friends who were like doing all of these creative things, like like visual arts and sculpture and theater and writing, right? And back then, to me, like writing songs was an incredibly creative and fulfilling experience. But it was also, when I look back on it now, was a form of self-therapy. Like I had to kind of just, things built up inside me, and I had to kind of let them out to, in a way, feel more functional, So that's changed, because that's changed for me. And today, for me, creativity today is inspired problem solving. Because I really look at creativity is as something that it find a way to solve problems in life, right? Because life is not easy. We know that. You and I, we've seen things, right? We've been through stuff. So we know that life, it's not easy no matter what anyone says. And challenges come up, and sometimes we have to find a way around those challenges, or sometimes we have to find a way to live with them or through them, right? That's part of life. But also say inspired. And inspired because I think we can elevate ourselves to a level where we feel that we can have a unique perspective on things. We can find a different way of looking at the situation or figuring out what is it that I can do about it. How is it that, how can I find a way to do things differently in a way that feels right for me? That's, for me, what creativity is all about. But it's not easy. The reality is that being creative in this day and age, it's not easy, is it? Right? There's so many, challenges that come up inside of ourselves. And I wanted to speak to, what I believe probably are the three of the biggest challenges that get in the way of letting your creativity flow, of letting you truly express yourselves. And I really believe that the first thing that really just trips us up, and so many of us at different parts of our lives, is that sense of, you know what, I'm not a creative person. And I think that's a problem of self-esteem. I honestly feel that, because I've often had people say, well, I'm not creative, I'm not, I'm not into arts, I'm not into music or whatever. So it's a very limited definition of what creativity is or how it can be applied. But maybe it's just me, but I really believe that creativity is something we apply everywhere in our lives. Everywhere you go, everything that you do, that's where creativity lives, my friend. You can be creative in the way that you cook, you can be creative with your kids, you can be creative in your relationship, you can be creative in your work, you can be creative in how you collect rubbish. Anything can be a creative process, as long as you give yourself the permission to be yourself and not put this pressure on yourself to be perfect or to be somebody else, which you're not. You have your own life to live, and that means that you have your own ways to express yourself, your own ways to be creative in a way that is significant for you. So please do not ever talk yourself down and believe yourself not to be as creative. Maybe you haven't given yourself the freedom. Maybe you haven't given yourself the chance to be creative, to explore, to just let go and go further, right? If you haven't, my friend, the time to do is, as always, right now, in this moment, right? Because that's all we ever have. The chance to be creative, the chance to live out to our fullest potential, it starts today. So please do that for yourself, my friend. Live with purpose. Be creative in a way that is meaningful and significant for you. And don't ever believe, no matter what anyone tells you or how you even think about yourself, that you're not creative. You are. You have all of that inside you. Just about letting it go forth in a way that makes sense for you and your way of life. Now, the second thing, right, that really one of the biggest challenges that I know from my own personal experience and by speaking with hundreds of other people, is that it's this waiting for creativity to strike, like waiting for inspiration. Waiting for this perfect moment when stars are going to align and you're finally going to be able to just sit down and write that book, or do this next project, or whatever it is for you, right? That this something is going to change, right? That's how this kind of thinking goes, and something is going to come up, and it's just going to magically shift things, and you're going to feel inspired, and you're just going to move and kind of fall into it, right? And the reality is that this is a trap. And it's a trap that I'm really passionate about this, because I've done this for the longest time of my life. And there was years of my life where I have done absolutely nothing with myself, because I was waiting for this moment. I was waiting for inspiration to strike. I was going, let me just do more of the things that I normally do and just wait for things to happen. It doesn't. Or if it does, it's unsustainable, because it's unpredictable. You don't know how things are going to work. So what I would suggest you do, my friend, is don't wait. Don't wait for creativity to strike. Just start now. Start working on something when you can, and you'll get into a rhythm. You'll build the rhythm over time that works for you, and you will find the creative expression and inspiration in the act of doing it. That's what matters. You find it in the process of doing this thing. For example, this book, I wrote this, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in the challenging world of today. I wrote it in a challenging time, or at least for me, during the pandemic, Because when the pandemic started, we had these massive lockdowns, there were so many changes, we were all worried about our health and what would happen and the restrictions and all sorts of things, all sorts of pressures of working from home and what have you. And in that time, I decided I decided to write this book. But I was like, how do I do this? Because I have no time. I've got family, I've got work, I've got a million other things going on, and it's hard to manage it all. And I was just like, maybe I should just put it off. Maybe I should put it off when I have more time, when I feel that, like just there's more space in my life to do it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this time it's never gonna come. It's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna be, my life is never gonna be perfect and free and aligned for everything just to happen. So I decided, you know what? If I decided to do it, then I'm gonna do it, and do it in a year, no matter what happens. And I started doing it. I started sitting down every single day and writing. I would write first thing in the morning. I would write for probably half an hour to an hour every single day. And it was hard. And at the start, I really didn't enjoy it. Some days, I really didn't feel like it. I really wanted to throw it, to give up, do something else. But I kept going. And I found that after, kind of this little battle with myself, I got into it. And I started to enjoy it. I started to get this sense of joy, of sense of purpose, of direction. I started to find ways to make sense of things. That's why I'm so big about clarity, right? I started to find ways to connect things together, different ideas or different experiences and different stories in a way that would all line up and would allow me to express how I truly felt about different parts of life and how to really apply it in a sense that really makes sense for you, that I really put it in a sense that makes it easy for someone to find hope in a challenging time, how to build hope towards dreams and ambitions that someone has, how to share hope, how to give hope to others. I found specific practical tools. That's what I built into this book. But it wasn't easy. It didn't just strike me. I got inspired through the act of doing this work. And that's what I highly recommend for you. Now, the third thing that really, this is a huge one, is that really gets in the way, is the uncertainty. Right? Sometimes when you want to embark on a new adventure in life, or you want to try something new, you want to find it. In other words, find a new way of expressing, right? What's right for you, for your way of life, right? When you want to be able to do that, sometimes the challenge that we face in that moment when that is happening, that we don't know how things would work out. We're worried about things going wrong. We're worried about looking stupid. We're worried about other people judging us, right? And that's naturally comes up for us because when we're going into the unknown, right? So that's why we sometimes hold back on the dreams or ambitions, on living to our fullest potential and expressing ourselves fully, because we don't give ourselves the permission to go and explore. And that, what creativity is all about, is letting yourself flow, is letting yourself, giving yourself the chance to explore and have the sense of wonder, right? That you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna make it happen. You're going to make sense of what's going on. You're going to find the right way for you. And maybe, yes, maybe you're going to stumble. Maybe not everything is going to work out perfectly, but you'll find your way. That's what I really believe is absolutely critical to what I call being creative with purpose. And it comes down to three things. And first, purpose is a sense of direction. Like the sense of that you go in, you have something in mind, something that maybe it's an idea, maybe it's an image, maybe it's a feeling, Maybe it's just a desire to create something, right? Whether you already have everything worked out, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to share something with your family, whether you want to do this new thing in your work, whether you want to make a difference in your community. You might have a vague idea of what that is, but it's going to make you feel a certain way. You have an idea of what it might look like. You have a dream, and maybe it's idealistic, and maybe not all of it, is likely to come to life in just the way that you imagine it there, but you can have a vision of what that is, and you can move towards it. That's what I call purpose. I really believe that's the first ingredient of really being creative, the first condition, if you will, to part of those conditions that you want to have in place to allow you to express yourself fully and openly. Having that purpose, the sense that you're moving something towards it, that you're giving, that you have a vision of what that might look like. That's critical. And I want to ask you now, what is that sense of purpose that can drive you in being creative? Maybe it's to have more time to do what you want to do. Maybe it's to achieve a greater level of expression in your work. Maybe it's to leave a legacy. Maybe it is to feel loved or accepted. All of that's cool. That is purposeful. And when you know what that is a critical ingredient for you to express yourself fully. The second ingredient is the mindset. And we kind of touched on this before, but the mindset of not getting things perfectly, not getting, hitting the, kind of the bullseye the first time, you kind of go for it. But instead of having the mindset, you know what? I'll give it a go. I'll try something new. Maybe I'll try something again if it doesn't work out. I'll see what works for me and what doesn't. I'll see what other things I could try. Maybe I'll ask people for advice. Don't put this pressure on yourself to be perfect, to make things, just work out in the best way that you want. Just give yourself the grace to express yourself, to let you be you, let you be guided by what comes up for you, right? Just think of it as, I can do this. I can figure this out, because you are resilient. You have incredible experience in your life of being through depth of struggles in your life. You have what it is in your life to figure things out. That's the mindset. You can try things out. You can figure out what's right for you. You can figure out what works for you, my friend. That's the second thing. Now, the third thing really is a critical part is the process, right? Because we touched on it earlier. For me, it was like when I was, say, writing this book, is I set myself time first thing in the morning to really, before I was distracted by other things, I would wake up early and I would just go for it. I would write even if I didn't feel like writing it and nothing came to mind. But I want you to think about what are going to be the conditions in place for you, your process of being creative. Is it maybe sitting down each night with your diary? Is it, talking to your friend every week? Is it, writing an email every day to potential partners or people you want to collaborate with? Is it you performing specific tasks, on regular times? Whatever that is for you, right? You want to think about that and make it something that you can put in your diary, something you can schedule, something you can put in your calendar, that on regular basis that you gotta be doing this, that it's in there. You have a process. And maybe this process is going to change and you can adjust it and you can make it work for you. But you want to find and build that process. Not have it work perfectly the first time around, but have a process where you are actually doing things in a way that are consistent with you getting that outcome. getting that feeling, getting that form of expression, getting that result, getting that connection with someone, right? What is that for you? So you want to build the process around it. These three things are going to make a huge difference for you, my friend, in terms of being creative with purpose. First of all, is that purpose, that sense of direction. What is it that you want to get from this? How is it that you want to feel? How do you see the end result? How do you see yourself in it and visualize it? Like, what would it look like? How would it make you feel? You know, the second thing is like we talked about, is the mindset, is giving yourself the mindset of wonder, of being able to try things out, that you are capable of figuring things out and making things happen. Even if it's not perfect, you can figure this out. You've done it before. And the third thing is that process. It's how you go through life to have the conditions in place that help you to do it, like those boundaries where you know, like this and this time, I'm doing this, or I'm doing this because it helps me to get there, right? Again, you can tweak this process and you can figure it out, but the key ingredients are there. I tell this all the time to my coaching clients when I work with people one-on-one or in groups to help them get greater sense of clarity in your life, that what you seek in your life is what you get. It's so vital, my friend, to get yourself and allow yourself to be creative with purpose and expressive, your truest form of self. I want to congratulate you for being here, for looking after your creativity and expression today. I think that's just such a critical part of our lives. So I want to commend you for that. And if you are seeking to take that next step in your life and living with greater sense of purpose and clarity and contribution, then you want to check out my Clarity First coaching program to see if it's right for you. Because I work with people one-on-one to help them really get breakthrough clarity in key parts of their life so they can go to the next level and they can live with purpose, live happy, purposeful lives and feel like they're making a difference with an impact and ultimately feel like you belong. That's what it's all about. So if you're interested in that, go into powertobehappy.com and check out Clarity First. My name is Joe Bakhmutsky. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for looking out for yourself in this challenging time. I'll see you soon.